Hi, this is Eric Martin with BoardGameGeek. I am here with Travis Reynolds from Queen Games, who at the moment is having a bit of video difficulty, but who is with us in an auditory fashion. And I assume he has some vocal fashion as well. So he can hear us and take questions and talk about how to play Winter Kingdom, which is a new game from Donald X. Vaccarino, building on the Kingdom Builder gameplay model from a few years ago, but with a new setting and new stuff going on. So Travis, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Eric. Great to be here auditorily, if not video-wise. So right. Yes, you're right. Winter Kingdom's sort of a spiritual successor to Kingdom Builder. In that, I know a lot of people are familiar with Kingdom Builder, so what I'll do as we talk about it is I'll kind of touch on the things that are similar or the same, and then we'll kind of highlight the things that aren't too. That kind of makes it easy for the people who know Kingdom Builder and also tells people about it that aren't.
Okay.
Sound good?
It often is. I would suggest just initially pretending we know nothing about Kingdom Builder.
Sure.
And then as the difference arises, we'll see that and you can point that out.
Yep. Sounds great. So here in Winter Kingdom, we're going to all be expanding our kingdoms within the winter tundra. We've got all sorts of different terrain types on there. The board consists of 7 hexagonal modular boards that get put together randomly to start the game that the lovely hands are touching now. And in order to play this game, when we start, we're all going to get a number of different cards. So this game has a lot of variability. And that's really one of the keys to the game. So the first thing that's variable is we're going to start with some terrain cards. The terrain card gives us our base mandatory thing every turn of the game, right? So whatever terrain card I have, I'm going to play that card out, and I'm going to take 3 of my houses, and I'm going to place them on the board in that terrain. The first turn, the first house, I can put it anywhere in the board in whatever terrain type it is that I have. So if I say draw us a terrain type card there. All right, there we've got the grasslands. So we're going to put 3 of our houses in the grasslands. So we have to place the first one anywhere in the board in any of the grasslands out there that we would like. After we place the first one, now there's something called the adjacency rule. So from then on, if we can place adjacent to an existing house, we have to. So our next 2 houses would have to be adjacent. So the next one would have to be adjacent to that one. And since our card is in the grass, it has to be in the grass. And then the third one would also be adjacent. So each turn, that is the mandatory move. You place 3 houses in the terrain that you have, and you have to maintain and respect the adjacency rule. Now from there, there's all sorts of variables. For starters, each turn we're also going to be able to earn money. So one of the things that changes each game is we have an economy card. Those are the green cards up at the top right of the board. We would randomly pick one of those every turn, and we would put it out, and that would tell us how we would earn money. So just pick us one out of there, Nikki, and hold it up to the camera so we can see what it is.
Okay, so we normally use a green screen that highlights components. But with this special setup that we have right now, where we go to the live shot, the green screen is not working to do an overlay.
Okay, gotcha. Can we hear Nikki if she talks?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's that card say?
I added South Seas.
Did he say where he was located?
Maybe the zip code.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Ohio.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, shouldn't be bad, but still 60. Which
we have other audio on this channel as well.
Yep, I don't know where that's not me. So I can't see that real well. I know Nikki's struggling.
I don't know if you can read it off, Nikki. Nope. Okay.
No. Okay. So the economy cards say things like, if you place a house next to a village and it's the only house you have next to that village, you earn a coin. Or it might say if you place a building and it's not adjacent to any of your other buildings, then you earn a coin. They're basically challenges. There we go. So this one
there we
says,
go.
for each of your own houses taken off the game board and put back into the box out of play, you get a coin. So that's a way for you to take houses off. Hunting says one coin for each of your houses not built adjacent to any of your other, and so on. So we see there's a variety of different economy cards. If you build within and meet the economy requirements, then you're going to earn coins. Coins is something definitely new to Winter Kingdom. It didn't exist in Kingdom Builder. And coins are going to be used to do a couple of things. So the other cards we're going to get at the beginning of the game are the ability cards. Those are silverback. There are 5 of them down at the bottom left of the board. Those, down at the bottom left, you got a hand splayed there. Those are an example of the ability cards. Everybody gets 5 of those to start the game, and everybody's hand is asymmetric. So you're going to have 5 cards to choose from. And you're going to kind of think about, these are the cards I have, and how can I best use these throughout the game to meet the scoring requirements. We haven't talked about the scoring requirements yet, but so you're going to want to try and get these in play. You see on the top of each of those, it says 2. That's what it costs to put one in play. And you got to get the money by meeting the economy card requirements. So we pay the 2 coins to put it in play. The bottom part of the card is an upgraded part. So once it's in play on a future turn, instead of playing a new card, I could choose to upgrade it and get an additional ability. So most of these cards do the same thing. These cards that we had see on the screen, I'll say place a house in a given terrain type, and it shows us the terrain type. And then once it's upgraded, we can place the house and then move the house. And a lot of the other cards do a lot of different things. So that's the dog sled. That one says we can move along a type of terrain, which is the, I think it's the ice, and we can end up anywhere off the ice as far as we want. The guide moves across a set of mountains and come out on the other side. The port lets you place a house in the terrain type that you drew the card for. And then after you upgrade it, you can place it on ice. That's one of the only ways in the game to place on the ice. The barracks lets you place next to a fort. We didn't talk about forts yet, but we will. And then if you upgrade it, it lets you place it in a group adjacent to a fort. And then the tavern lets you place a house at the end of a line of 3. And if you upgrade it, you can place it at the end of a line of even your opponent's 3 houses. So there's all sorts of different cards, and everybody has a hand that's going to be different from everybody else's. So as you go and you build this, you're sort of building an engine that's going to let you place more houses, move houses, and be creative in order to allow you to meet the economy requirements and to meet the scoring requirements. So now it's a good time to talk about scoring. The top 3 cards up at the very top of the board and that are kind of gold, those are the scoring. Those are the scoring cards. We use 3 different ones every time, and there can be all sorts of different combinations of scoring. You might score for being adjacent to mountains, or you might score for being on certain horizontal lines. So the ones we have here say, followers says 1 victory point for each of your houses in a contiguous line of at least 4 of your own houses. Climbers says 2 victory points for each village linked contiguously to your own houses by a mountain. And Nature Lovers says 1 victory point for each of your houses adjacent to at least 2 hexes with either mountains or ice. So, and the variety on those just kind of keeps going, and we play with 3 different ones every time. So that creates a different scoring circumstance for every game. So you're going to want to choose the ability cards that are going to best let you meet those scoring requirements.
Okay. All right. And the huts. You said we had not mentioned the huts.
Yep. So we talked about houses. The other part are forts, and forts are a new piece of Winter Kingdom. At any point in time, a player can place a fort. It goes on the board, and for all intents and purposes, economy, scoring, anything else, it counts as 2 houses. So it's a strategic placement. The only catch to forts is once they're on the board, they can't be moved. So any of those cards that let you move a house or shift it around, forts can never be moved, but they do count as 2. So for example, if maybe you have an economy card that's making money tight, you may strategically choose to use your forts to generate money so that you get twice as much, or you might choose to use them specifically to score points, but you only have 4 of them. So you have to be very picky about when you place the forts on the board. So the flow of the turn is, go ahead, Eric.
No, I just
Okay.
saying
Yep.
okay.
So the flow.
I mean, it's interesting just because the things that can't move as well. That was something that can be useful as well. Just, I mean, I played a fair amount of Kingdom Builder, and yeah, sometimes you definitely want to split your units apart and have your houses in many different locations, and so now that would be a trouble spot if you cannot move it.
Right. Yeah, it gives you a little by making it worth 2 houses, and then it kind of takes away by not letting you move it. All the regular houses can still be moved, just not the forts. So the flow of the turn is, on your turn, you have to perform your mandatory action, which we showed earlier with 3. Everybody also starts with a tunnel card. The tunnel card, as long as you're adjacent to one of the blue spaces on the board, there's one on each of the 7 terrain boards. They're little blue hexes. If you're adjacent to one of those, then you can move through the tunnel and come out adjacent to any other tunnel. So that's how the tunnel card works. And beyond that, you're going to build cards from your hand. So if you're familiar with Kingdom Builder, it used to be that you would build adjacent to locations and get tiles. And those gave you the ability to do extra things like place extra houses or do, like you said, move your houses or all sorts of different abilities. Well, now those are the cards in your hand. So you're going to kind of pick and choose which cards to play and when to play them. And once they're on the table in future turns, you can do those in any order. So you can do your mandatory action first. You could use the tunnel first. You could use one of your action cards first. You can do all those things in any order to best suit what you're trying to accomplish. The only drawback is you can only, once you start your mandatory turn, you can't interrupt it, and that's kind of a holdover too. So when your turn's over, play passes around. The game is going to play until one player has placed all of their buildings on the board, including all the forts, and then we would move on to scoring. Scoring, of course, is outlined by the 3 scoring cards. And in addition to that, there are castle locations on the board. There's one of those on each of the different terrain boards. And whoever has the majority around those is going to score each one for 3 points. So that'll be the first thing you'll score. Then you would score each of the scoring cards, and the person with the most points wins. Now, I intentionally skipped over one of the cards, and that's the twist cards, which are right beside the green economy cards. They're kind of brown with sort of a castle-looking feature to them. Those twist cards are recommended for advanced play. When you first start playing the game, it's not recommended that you use them. But once you get comfortable with the rules, those make all sorts of changes to the game. So if you have one in play, Nikki, if you could grab those and put a few of them up. So once they're in play, they're going to do all sorts of stuff. So, for example, that impasse says hexes adjacent to other players count as occupied. So you can't build adjacent to other players. Then the next one says when building a house, each hex at most 2 hexes away from the hex with your house counts as adjacent. So that sort of lets you skip spaces when you build. So you can see all these do different twists. So it adds another layer of variability to the game. So now you've got the variable economy card, the 3 variable scoring cards, and you can add in the variable twist. And I can say from experience of having played it, that combination of stuff makes for an extremely different game each time you play, because it's a very high level of variability.
Along with the variability of the boards as well. That are double-sided, just fit together and make different environments each time.
That's right. You might have a bigger mountain range because they happen to randomly get put together, or they may be spread out all over the place. Or there's all sorts of different combinations.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I've played a lot of Kingdom Builder, and I can say for sure that this is especially with the twist cards, this creates a heavier, more thanky product than Kingdom Builder. It's a little meatier, and you definitely have to put some thought into, okay, these are the cards I have. What do I want to play? When do I want to play it? What's going to help me do the things that I need to do? Do I need to play another card, or do I want to upgrade for that card's ability? So there's a lot of stuff there. There is one other piece I skipped over on money. If you save your money and get up to 5, which is tough sometimes based on economy, and you don't want to spend it on a card, there's a rule where you can spend 5 coins and you can use one of your ability cards 3 times. So a clever use of that could also be very helpful at a very key position.
Okay. Yeah, that is a little different, that option there. Okay. And you have only one terrain card, or you have multiple ones?
You start with, you get
that.
one and you play, and it's play and draw. That part is similar to
Okay.
Kingdom Builder. I'm sure you noticed a lot of the things that are similar. Draw a terrain card, play it. 3 mandatory houses. That's similar. That's the same as Kingdom Builder. The scoring cards is similar. The ability cards are completely different. The economy cards are new. The twist is new. The boards and the outline and how it's modular in that way, all that stuff's new. The forts are new. So it's at its core, it's got some core stuff that's similar, but then after that, it starts changing.
Right. And it's very much in a Donald X line where, yes, as you say, there's lots of variability in terms of how the parts all come together, with it providing the same game experience, and yet the particularities of it are going to vary a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know a lot of people talk about that with his games, where effectively they have a turn 0 where you have to set up the board and then you see what the situation is like this time, and you try to figure out some sort of path or plan for what you're going to do.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I'll steal that turn 0 thing. Thanks, Eric. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I agree. You definitely have to think about what am I doing here? What cards am I going to play? If I'm the first player, where am I going to start? Because once you're on the board, right? And then you have to respect that adjacency rule, which if you played Kingdom Builder, is a challenge.
Right. And so like the first build that was put on the board there with the green houses, where it's got the 3 going down and it divides that grassy area so that there's 2 separate grassy areas on the side. So now someone could just play in that 2 area and then they go somewhere else with a 3rd. I know often you're trying not to set people up so they can hop around the board and have multiple building spaces, because usually, of course, the more possibilities you have, the better for you.
Yeah, taking advantage of things like that your opponents give you in this game is where all the interactivity is, right? It's preying on those small, because you want to fill areas up, and so you can move on to other areas, right? Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, and like as well, that the greenhouses are now touching that grassy dirt. I don't know, the desert area, the orange area,
right? The orange color terrain, right? Right, which means if you play in that, you have to play adjacent.
Right. And it's all about being aware of the possibilities of where you're going to be forced in the future, or the opportunity to go somewhere. Sometimes it's good and you want to be able to spread, and other times you don't want to be forced that way. So I don't know. It's interesting. There's all sorts of little details as you look more in.
Right. I think you said it right. It's about controlling where you can go instead of it mandating where you have to go.
Yeah. Which, sometimes you don't get to do what you want, but
that's right.
You have to make the best of it.
There was a song about
anything
that, right?
else
You can't always get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need, right?
Yes, I have heard that before. So Winter Kingdom is out now. You had a Kickstarter for it. Is it available now in retail?
The very end of the fulfillment is happening now. So it is available during SPIEL.digital as a pre-order. They can go through our SPIEL.digital page, or they can come to our Discord page and we'll get them in the right spot. So they can pre-order and it'll ship out after the fulfillment ends, which we think will be about 2 to 3 weeks in North America. North America is the last fulfillment to be done. So everything else is mostly finished. So it's very close to being out.
Okay. All right. Any talk of expansions, or you have other things aside from Winter Kingdom? We've got a few minutes left. I don't know if you want to give overviews of other projects or other things that have been announced.
We haven't had any conversations about expansions here, but there's a lot of potential for that because we did a lot with Kingdom Builder. If the game does well and fans are receptive to it and they like it, then we're always open to expansions. I'm happy to talk about our other project. We have another Stefan Feld game coming up. That's going to be launched pretty soon. It's not part of the Feld City collection. It's a game called Coco Pelli. We've been promoting a little bit. I've been playing it with some content creators, and everybody seems to really like it. It's a very card-heavy game that it also has a lot of variability, which is good from a Feld game. All the players are playing cards to not only their board, but you're able to play cards to your opponent's boards. And there are some rules that restrict when cards can be played. For example, if your opponent maybe has a card already in the board, you can't play the same card. And we're trying to close down these ceremonies. And when you close ceremonies, you score points for it. But if you aren't careful, your opponent will come in and close your ceremony and steal the points. It's really a lot of fun. There's already one stream if anybody wants to check it out. I think it's on YouTube on Brambeard Gaming. I'm playing tomorrow with Paul Grogan. If anybody's a fan of Paul Grogan, they can see it there. I'm playing with the guys from Blue Peg, Brawling Brothers, and Man vs. Meeple on Monday. So, yeah, that's the project we have coming up.
Okay. And it's all card-based. There's no locations or anything like that.
Well, other than your village board, and so your village board is 4 locations in front of you, and your playing area is 8 locations, which is half of your opponent's village board. It's on your right and your left. So you can start ceremonies on your own board, and you can extend ceremonies or close them in anywhere in your playing area. And then all of the cards have powers on them. And when they're active on your board, they give you that ability. So, of course, the abilities all break all the rules. They let you score points and do things the rules won't let you, and all sorts of other stuff that you would expect to be doing from a Feld game. So, but it is all mostly card play, except for the player boards.
Right. It's interesting you say that, because the description makes it sound like not a Feld game to me. So.
I've been playing with a lot of Feld fans, and they say this doesn't look initially like a Feld game, but it gets very thanky once you get into it, as far as how you're limited and where you can play cards and what cards are important to play and when I should play a card, because I don't want to set my opponent up. I'd love to play it with you if you'd like to check it out.
All right. I will have to see what's possible. Given the rest of my schedule here. So we have another minute. I don't know if there's anything else to mention in terms of how the Feld City Collection is going along. I know it was funded. You're just in the midst of production, or what's the state of that?
Yes. So the Feld City Collection is a little different. I mean, I think a lot of people know that follow us on Kickstarter. We often will go to Kickstarter with projects when they are very close to completion, right? And we use Kickstarter to reach our fans around the world, because it's tough to have distribution all over the place. The Feld City Collection was a different thing. We went to Kickstarter with that early in the project, and it's still under development. So it's nowhere near far as long as a lot of our games are. So it is moving. We'll be sharing new developments as that happens. We're really taking our time. I know we know that a lot of the games that are going to be involved in that collection are beloved by a lot of the fans, and we really want to take the time to get it right and take people's opinions into consideration. You're never going to make everybody happy, but we want to try to make them the best possible product we can. So we're really taking our time to try and make that happen.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Travis, for joining us.
The only other thing I want to say is I want to say that the hands on the board are very lovely, and I really appreciate the hands on the board.
All right. That didn't sound creepy at all.
It was great to see you guys. Even though you couldn't see me, I appreciate your time.
Yep. Thanks for joining us, Travis. And I'm sure we'll talk to you again. Maybe even see you at a future event.
Maybe even see me.
Yeah.
Stay safe and take care, guys.